out my wife had an affair because I'm not big enough, so I showed them what a true man is like. Am I considered a bad guy for teaching my soon-to-be ex-wife a lesson for cheating on me because of the size of my genitals, which I do not control, and for intentionally not bearing children? Am I also considered wrong for not taking my wife's lies about me being the reason we couldn't have children lightly? I don't care if people call getting revenge for cheating toxic masculinity. I'm going to do it anyway. My wife had an affair with another man because she felt like my genitals weren't big enough to satisfy her needs. Women always have a way of trying to play the victim card and trying to act like they are never at fault. That's why men like me were born to put them in their place. I cannot marry a woman for 6 good years, then watch her have an affair with another man right under my nose and do nothing. I will rather die than let cheating slide. I'm not going to reveal my real name because I don't want all the feminists and keyboard warriors on my back trying to let me know I should have just stayed silent. I'll be going by the name Tom, and my despicable soon-to-be ex-wife is Kara. I don't know her affair's partner's real name, otherwise I would have actually given his real name out. I'm not going to stay with the crap and act like I don't know where to start from. I know where to start from, and I'm going to start from my stupid marriage. I married Kara 6 years ago in the most unnecessarily overpriced wedding ever. I was a teacher back then, and I made a very honest living. I didn't earn much, but I was comfortable enough to want to start a family. I married a high school graduate with no certificate whatsoever, so in other words, I married a broke woman. But do you know what's worse? This broke woman wanted the highest wedding of her dreams, and she wanted to milk me of that. Don't ask me how I was able to afford it. I have parents that thought of my future. Now I don't want to bore you all with all the crap of the wedding and how it went. I'll just go straight into the shenanigans of our marriage. Kara married me because she thought my family was wealthy. I don't need to mince words, this is the truth. I found this out months into our marriage, and it was already too late by then. But do you know the good part? She got the shock of her life when she realized that my family was just as broke as any other family. I just had parents that had a saving culture and prioritized their children's needs over theirs. So my wife realized that she married a normal man with normal parents. Of course, her true colors started coming out, and I could see the true character she wanted to hide. Did I care? Nope. It's not my fault that she decided to marry for the wrong reasons. I tried to overlook her actions because I was just too busy trying to make a living for myself and my family. I was really keen on upgrading in my life, and thankfully, the upgrade came. I got a job at a company that paid me well enough to buy a new house. Kara changed after that upgrade, and it was almost like I married a new wife. That was 2 years into our marriage, by the way. The big change only happened 2 years into our marriage. That's to tell you guys that I lived in an awful marriage for almost 2 years. After the upgrade, things seemed to flow smoothly, but then I realized that my wife was taking me for a fool. Of course, she cheated on me because of the size of my genitals, but that wasn't the actual beginning of everything. It all started from the fact that I caught her using birth control pills after we slept together. I just noticed that she wasn't ready to have a child. This wasn't planned before marriage, so I confronted her about it and asked her why she was suddenly making decisions without speaking to me first. Yes, I do not deny that it is her body and she can do whatever she wants with her body. But in a marriage, issues like that are supposed to be spoken about beforehand. But immediately started complaining, all hell literally broke loose, and it felt like my marriage started falling apart because my wife just couldn't take the fact that I spoke up. Kara made life miserable for me with her tantrums and the way she never gave me peace after I came back from work. At first I tried to enjoy it because at the end of the day it is still our body, and she has a bright mind to make decisions. But when I noticed that she was not being sorry for the wish was acting, I decided to switch up and show her that I am not a man to mess with. I also made life very difficult for her, and I made sure that she started feeling the heat in the worst way possible. Trust me when I say she started feeling the heat, because she really did. I didn't make life easy for her at all, and I made sure she felt the pain of everything she tried to do. So yes, we became toxic couples who were toxic to each other, but while all this was going on, I innocently thought that we were just being immature and that it would all die down like that. I wasn't wrong at first, because one day I decided to be the man in the relationship and sit her down so we could talk things out and try to make our marriage work. Kara acted like she would comply, and things became normal. The marriage wasn't perfect, but at least I noticed how she tried being touchy and how she made side remarks that suggested "I told you so." But I ignored her because I had a very serious issue at hand. What was the serious issue? I was seeing my wife with another man right in front of me. It was devastating, and there was nothing funny about what I witnessed that day. I got very angry instantly, but I just had to wait. If I lost my cool, I wouldn't see where things were headed. Guess what, guys? My shameless wife actually got up suddenly and left the restaurant with the guy. She left hand in hand with him after, or king him on the cheek. I won't lie, guys, I felt really bad. My ego was crushed when I saw my own wife freely flaunting her lover in front of the restaurant. She didn't even try to hide it. That just explained how she didn't respect me as her husband at all. So we decided to follow Kara and her liver. It got really messy after that. I went with my coworker in her car like she suggested at the beginning. I had brought my own car and she brought hers, but we decided to leave in hers while I left my car at the restaurant. So I left the restaurant with my coworker while we followed Kara to wherever she was going with the guy. It was a hotel. Yes, my wife shamelessly went to a hotel with her lover without any respect for me. I watched them book a room and I listened to the stupid sounds from outside the cheap room door of the hotel they booked. I didn't say a word to my coworker after that. I just bailed a can, went back to the restaurant, picked up my car, then went back to work. After work that day, I went to the house. I'm not a coward or a fool. There's no way I would see my wife cheating and pretend like nothing happened. I confronted her with so much anger that she had to beg. I told her I was aware of her cheating and that I wanted her to pack out of the house that night. For clarity's sake, I normally leave the company at 5 p.m. But just because I was particularly interested in Kara leaving the house helpless, I came back by 10 p.m. that night. So when I came to the house, I told her I knew she was cheating and I wasn't interested in keeping her in the house. I didn't mince words at all. In fact, I helped her pack her things immediately. She was very shocked and she didn't expect that kind of reaction from me, but honestly, I didn't care at all. I didn't care what she expected or didn't expect. I just wanted to make sure that she left my house immediately. She left that same night. But that wasn't all I wanted. I sat down and wanted to get to the bottom of things. I just couldn't believe that my own wife was the same loose woman I had seen that morning. What hurt me most was the fact that I had resulted in several women and stayed faithful to a marriage that wasn't faithful to me. The betrayal cut deep because I'd tried to make the marriage work. That's why I couldn't sleep well, knowing that a divorce was the only revenge I could get. I wanted to do something that would hurt her bones and make her feel the pain, and she gave it away. The feeling of being betrayed eventually left me, but one thing that never left was my desire to make sure I took revenge on her. I got over her betrayal and started planning out the perfect revenge for her. I already made out all the scenarios in my mind and made all the plans I needed. The very next day, I got shocked when I saw Kara at the house first thing in the morning. Yes, she came to beg. She actually had the audacity to come and beg me after everything. We got into a very heated argument, and that's when her stupid reasons for cheating came to light. Can you believe that my so-called wife opened her mouth to tell me that she cheated on me because she was not satisfied with the size of my genitals? She called me incompetent and accused me of not satisfying her. Can you believe the warrant nonsense? Such stupid words came out of the mouth of a woman I married 6 years ago. She claimed that the sex life was miserable, so she didn't feel the need to spend the rest of her life being unsatisfied. According to her, I wasn't being fair enough, so she had to look elsewhere. She called me all sorts of makes and even called me a coward for sending her out of the house for my mistake. I'm always against domestic violence in any form or kind. That's why I didn't slap her to hell that day. She's a cheater and a loose woman, and she had the audacity to try putting the G on me. Aki. I the one that told her to cheat? Am I the one that told her to lose? Did I ever try to make her feel less of a woman while we were together? The answer to that is no. That's why I didn't give a crap about the rubbish she spilled. Women will literally give an excuse for everything and anything. How do you cheat and then try to justify it? If Ken did the same, then they would be called manipulative. So what should I call Kara? LOL, she claimed that my genitals were not big enough, so she cheated? I totally disagree and will not even talk about it. We did not stay virgins before marriage, so if she was unsatisfied with me, why didn't she say so? Why did she keep it all to herself? Why did she go on with the marriage? That's because she's a liar and a cheat. That woman has always been a mistake, and I regret marrying her. She married me just so she could ruin my peace, but when she realized I wasn't a simple person, she tried cheating under my nose. I will never disrespect in any shape or form whether she is my wife or not. It doesn't make a difference to me. I sent her out of the house again that day after humiliating her in front of the neighbors. I told you guys it's been 2 months, right? Well, I already filed for divorce, but then I have been planning my big revenge. Sending her out of the house wasn't enough. I wanted to make sure she felt it. I'll give you guys the tea in the next post. Update. So guys, it's me again. I'm back here to give the tea on all that's been happening. I'm not going to waste time, so I'll get right into it. I told you guys Kara is just a high school graduate, right? She didn't attend college, so in other words, she doesn't have any certificate to work with. When we got married, my parents advised me to get her a job. So I'm the spirit of the honeymoon blues. I was happy and excited to do something good for my wife. But it became a challenge when I realized that getting her a job without a degree was going to be hard. Thankfully, as a teacher, I knew quite some influential people that were able to pull some strings to get her a job. Yes, when she started working there, it was illegal. It's actually a government-owned institute, and age was only required to come to work thrice a week. The pay was okay, and she's been working there for the past 6 years. I'm sure you all know how high of a fine one can pay when you are found to have faked a degree or try to cheat an institute, right? Not just any institute, but a government-owned institute. It was the recipe for disaster. So I decided to expose her myself and watch her face all the lawsuits, bankruptcy, frozen accounts, and possible jail term. But before doing that, I needed to make sure she didn't go down alone. Her affair partner was also in the mix of people I wanted to reach a lesson with. You might wonder, what does he have to do with it? I don't have a business with him, but I did some research and found out that Kara stopped low enough to cheat on me with a gym instructor. He's young, muscular, and seems to have the kind of thing she wants, if you know what I mean. Great, I don't give a crap, but then I discovered that he's a broke man who only knows how to lift weights and feed off the money I gave Kara as her monthly allowance, and also the money she earned from the job I gave to her. For a high graduate to earn as much as she did, you should know just how many strings I pulled to get her there. That's why I wasn't ready to let the disrespect slide. Rule number 1, you don't use your husband's money to feed other men ever. Don't ever do it, or else you will dance to the tunes. So after the divorce was finalized and I was sure that I had absolutely nothing to do with her legally anymore, I made the first move. I anonymously submitted the proof of her fake certificate to her manager at work. The response came forever, so I sent it to a place I knew would give faster results. She had a colleague at work that hated her, so I made sure I got her colleague's email from the Institute's employee file. If you're wondering how I got it, remember that Kara packed in less than 30 minutes. She left plenty of things behind. Of course, her colleague was the perfect way to get to her, and it worked. Just like that, I made the first move, and she was met with a petition at work. She couldn't defend herself, so she was fired immediately, taken to court, and asked to compensate the Institute for the damages. She also got fined but didn't go to jail, lol. She got embarrassed because the news was everywhere thanks to me. For her useless affair partner, I called him and promised to give him some cash if he would help me get her ousted from the apartment she had rented. This guy did the work in less than a week. He got into an argument with her intentionally and said false things about her that made the neighbors worried about their safety. So when the fool came to collect the money from me, he was shocked when I gave him nothing. Yes, I have nothing for him because only a fool would want a dime of his money to go to the same man that has been smashing his wife without his knowledge. Of course, the foolish gym instructor couldn't believe that I tried to mess with his young brain. He tried putting up a fight and threatened to report me to Kara, lol. Well, I told him to go ahead. I wanted Kara to know that I never forgot. I wanted her to know that humiliating a man that was there when you had nothing and gave you a job and roof over your head was not a good choice. I wanted her to know that just because I ignored all her tantrums and tried to make the marriage work didn't mean that I was a fool. She claimed to have had an affair because I wasn't big enough, so I was more than excited to show how much of a man I am. I am not a man to be played with. I guess the big man with the big genitals she went for showed her how cheap he was. He betrayed her at the sound of easy money. I made sure she lost her job. Now she's fighting lawsuits, bankruptcy, and possible frozen accounts. I made sure I did get dirty to the extent that she would only ever know how wicked I was. I was more than excited to let her know that I do not play with my self-respect. I'm happy to be the name she will be calling in her nightmares. Come on, give me the credit, cause I went through a lot to exact this revenge. It will serve as a lesson that the softest and most reasonable men are actually the toughest of all. And please, I will not be replying to any hate messages. You might think what I did was too cruel, but that's just your opinion. Anyone who makes a conscious decision to cheat and cheat repeatedly, especially on someone who has been so understanding, deserves the karma. Don't think that our hate messages will make me turn a new leaf overnight, because it definitely won't. That's all about my ordeal with my wife. It's not been a funny one, but thankfully it's over and I can finally focus on a life of peace, because Kara was definitely not peace in my life.